Hello, hello, all those beautiful faces. Hope everybody's doing well out there tonight. I'm here with Elizabeth. We are about to go on our second annual camping trip. Elizabeth's been camping a lot longer than that. I've been camping a few times. I'm a boater though, and I feel like boating and camping, they have a lot of similarities. And we want to make sure that you have the basics of camping and probably more importantly is the etiquette, right? You might get there and have all the right things, but if you don't know how to keep your space together, you are going to get the wrath of Elizabeth or equivalent at whatever camping site you're at. I'm being a little dramatic. I'm being a little dramatic, but Elizabeth will
I don't think
surely.
you are. I don't think you
We'll
are. I
surely
think
let
that's
you
really
know.
accurate. I think that's really accurate. And it's funny because I did a whole story on this today because I have been camping for so long and I brought up the goddess tent. I used to have the goddess tent and we didn't allow boys in the goddess tent because they would make drinks and leave their straws and their
They're
mixers all
smelly.
over. Yeah, totally. But there were a few men that were allowed in the goddess tent because like they dressed well, they smelled well, they were allowed in there. And so obviously when you're respectful and you keep a clean space, you're allowed into the goddess tent. Now I have a family, so we've had to adapt. It can't always be goddess, right? When we're camping, glamping. Um, but I think the most important thing that I really wanted to focus on, all kidding aside, is that camping can also be like a survival skill, right? So I kind of take it always as like, yeah, we're on vacation, we're having a good time, but also it's always an opportunity to level up and learn another
Mm.
skill. Um, we've had an opportunity, you and I, like where we got to go camping with our groups and we had a lot of amenities. We're going there this week and there's a lot of amenities. So as we're packing, it's so funny. My family, you know how we have so much camping stuff. We're like picking and choosing what we're bringing with us because we're like, well, there's a toilet. You know, I bring my potty. I have my porter potty that I bring. Um, but you have to kind of pick and choose what you want to bring. And when I think the etiquette part comes in, like if you didn't bring it or buy it and someone didn't offer it to you, like a chair, you don't use it. It's very it's very simple. And I know people are going to think this is like a satire thing, and it can be looked at as a satire thing because when we're speaking on camping etiquette, it's really just talking on common sense. I mean, that's from my
I
perspective.
know, but you're out of your element. You're in a different place.
Mm,
There's like a lot of bugs and stuff around. So
yeah,
we're gonna
yeah.
get into all of that. I do want to clarify that this is glamping level
Right
camping,
now, yeah.
right? Yeah. So we're not if you're going out into the deep wilderness or going for an extended period of time or going on this is probably not the video for you. This is people who are new to camping or moderate experience, just trying to get the whole family together, make sure that you have a good list and familiarizing yourself with when you get to a campsite that probably has some amenities. Like we stayed at a place recently where we had no amenities. Like we had to have our own toilet and we had to have all of our own cooking gear and shower and all of that. But this is going to have some amenities. If you're staying at a camping site, you'll likely have that. So that's kind of the feel of what we're going for, right? Your basic camp, going out with the family. I love it because it's an inexpensive way to go
Right.
travel, perhaps go see some of the country, but also there is that survival skill aspect. There is that getting in touch with nature aspect. And that's really what I appreciate about being a sailor. I remember when I was a kid, I'd always kind of get a little frustrated because people would be like, "Oh, we're going on a Disney cruise, or we're going on this cruise, or we're going to the Sandals Beach Resort." And I'd be like, "Oh, I'm going on a cruise around Long Island Sound on my boat with my parents," right? And now looking back, that was the way cooler thing to do, right? I didn't get to go to Mexico or to the Caribbean, but I was on a boat, actually sailing the boat myself, learning to navigate and getting in touch with the world rather than actually getting a when you go on those like glamorous beach vacations, it's like putting an extra layer between you and nature almost.
Okay, so I'll touch on this a little bit.
You look like you have some thoughts there.
I have so many thoughts, and I'm gonna try not to steer this too much into one direction. But living in Jamaica and growing my child for her first 5 years in Jamaica, I actually just talked with Danny about this the other day because I don't believe in like resort vacations because of what they do usually to the locals that live there, and that our cheap American vacations in the Caribbean and Mexico are really on the backs of these people that are not necessarily free to roam about the cabin the way Americans are with their passports and all of that. So that's a whole other YouTube thing, but that's just to touch on that. So
Go camping.
bravo to your parents for bringing you on, those excursions. I have a sailing excursion story to tell you. A friend of mine bought a boat, and we had to go from the north shore of Long Island to the south shore of Long Island.
Mm.
It was me and 5 men and 2 6-packs of beer. That was it. And one
It's not
mechanic.
a lot of
And
beer.
it was not a lot of beer. There may have been more beer, but I think it felt like there was not enough beer. Like there wasn't enough beer because these men had no clue what they were doing. And we were on this boat for so long. Like the boat broke down.
Oh, no.
There
And you
was a
have to go
giant
out into the ocean to go from North Shore or South Shore to North Shore, you have to go
whichever.
out
Yeah,
into the ocean
we
and
went
then
out,
come back
but we
around.
went through
Yeah.
Manhattan and like went under all the bridges, and that was
Mm.
really cool until a big giant like barge blew all this water over me. And it was a very interesting time. I think I would probably enjoy it more with your parents than
Yeah,
this lot of people. Probably
yeah.
would have been a little bit more.
Sailing is definitely one of those things where you should have a basic or a specialized knowledge in things. If you're gonna
Right.
power boaters, they can get away with some stuff that you can't get away with sailing, which
Yeah,
is
I
just
think.
I think camping, right? Camping is definitely one of those things that you need to go in and have a little bit of a base of knowledge. Perhaps not as much as sailing, but
Yeah, I was gonna
you wanna
say
be
not
prepared.
nearly as much as sailing. Like I think I would be like you think I'm crazy in camp. I would be crazy on a sailboat. Like, what are you? Don't run on that deck. You're gonna slip and fall and crack your head. Like I would be a crazy person on a sailboat, I think, for days at a time. Just to be clear, you probably don't want to sail with me.
Right,
I'd be
but
like,
you do want to camp with her. I've been camping with Elizabeth. It's a lot of fun. This was from our camping trip last year. I'll just play this short little reel. You can see we're down on the river. This is the same camp spot that we're gonna be going back to, so it was a lot of fun.
this is a good time.
This is the best part. This is the
Yeah,
best
we had a good
part.
time.
This is the best part. Oh, oh, when you do what you do in my heart. This is the best part. 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 Oh, oh, when you do what you do in my heart. This is the best part.
So that's it. As you can see here in the caption and what you just saw, 50% dancing, 50% cooking, 50% eating and river rafting, 1,000% beautiful faces. If you don't get that math, that just means you need to come camping with us.
Yeah,
And
it
you
was a
do get
really
that
good
math.
time. I think I enjoyed it a lot because there were a lot of new people that had never camped before, and then there were a lot of people that, had like Tiffany was with us and her family, and they were avid campers.
Mm.
They had a lot of different things with them to help, and that was really nice. But then we had a couple of campers that didn't really know what they were doing. And I think one of the things, like, you can get really expensive with camping, right? There's all these fancy stores that sell all these fancy things. But remember, like, I found you everything you needed, like, for what? It was under $100, right? I
Yeah.
found you like a
A
camp tent,
tent,
a,
a
a
cooking
tent, a
thing.
stove, like everything you needed to get started. That you didn't really need any more equipment for that trip. You were good. Um,
And that's on Facebook Marketplace or the other one
yeah,
is
like or
Craigslist. You can
Craigslist
find
or
good
any of
stuff.
Yeah, like you don't have to invest a ton of money, like especially if it's not something that you think you're going to be doing regularly. That was the other thing. You don't necessarily need to like spend all this money. So I kind of have a rule once a year, you know, at the beginning of the year, I upgrade like my camp with some kind of bougie glamping accessory. What did we do last year? We added our kitchen wall, right? We have that really cool kitchen wall with all the pockets and all of that.
Right.
It wasn't like an expensive thing, but it was not a necessity, but it's super cool to have that whole thing there. Um,
Yes, yes, it is.
you
And
know, yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely this year I got a few more things. It's one of those things you do slowly over time. You do with friends, you know, so you don't need to do everything at once. And we're about to get into it. Appreciate you, Darth, for checking in. Maybe one time you'll come out camping with us. So if you're here, make sure you've hit that like button. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. You know, leave us a comment down below. Tell us what you like to do when you go camping. What are some of your must-haves? And do you have any good camping fail stories? I thought before we got into the list, we'd watch one more video of some camping fails, some of the things that you might want to look out
Wait,
for.
are they from our group or you found them online?
No,
Other
I found one on YouTube, but we can
Oh
share. Like, do we want to out Danny and just like totally?
no, 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 no,
We had a
no.
friend who had a pretty good camping fail, but we'll let him live. We'll let him live on that. Maybe we'll let him come and tell the story one of
Yeah,
these
yeah,
days. But
yeah, yeah.
here I have a little camping fail compilation. We'll pull this guy up and have some laughs before we get into our list.
Oh, oh man.
And then he fell down.
These tents. Oh yeah, those tents. We have one of those tents.
Oh, raccoon.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to fall though.
What is that?
I have no idea who brings that camping.
Oh.
Shoe thing?
Whoa, it went backwards. It shot the wrong way. Is that a beaver dam?
I think it's a beaver dam.
He's gonna fall in. Stop it. Oh my god. That's horrible. That's horrible. Oh, this guy's gonna drop everything. Oh man.
Ready?
Oh.
Oh yeah. Saved it.
Oh no, the RV.
Oh no.
Okay. He just got his
Okay.
generator. Oh,
Yeah.
he's gone. He's gone. Ooh.
That's like that ladder thing at everyone just like sits there. Nobody moves. Oh no, their friend's floating away. Bye.
I'm gonna go right over her.
Yay, they saved
Oh,
them.
that's-
Oh.
Night.
Oh no.
She broke the seat. Oh god.
Oh no. So like these people, a lot of these people do not have good camping etiquette.
Get down.
Oh
no.
Oh no.
I think he just drank too much, that guy. I think they're doing a drinking thing. I bet the boat's gonna go without him.
No, it's not.
Flip over right away.
That's really funny.
The thing is about camping is you have so much extra time to just do dumb shit.
Right, idle time to do dumb things. Oh.
Oh man.
though, I have to say a lot of those people do not have proper camping etiquette. And I know, like, I'm going to bring this up because I'm an animal lover, but that's like one of my biggest things is like keeping a clean campsite because of raccoons, because of animals, because of all of these things, and not necessarily at the campsite where we're going to be at, right? But it's good practice to not have a messy camp site because then there's bugs too. That brings, like, people are always like, what do you do
Right.
about bugs? I have bug spray, la la la. And it's like, well, just keep a clean campsite and not leave your empty cans or half-filled cans of whatever you're drinking, because that's going to have like a sugar scent to it, right? And attracts all the bugs, whether it's alcohol or whether it's whatever you're
Right.
drinking.
Leave your tent
um
closed, right? Things like that. Like, always
right.
fully re-zip the tent up so that you don't get bugs into your
Which
tent,
is hard to remember when you have your kids.
right?
Kids
The
always
kids go
leave. You
in and
gotta
out and
always
in and out.
remind the kids to
Yeah,
like leave the tents closed. Because then later on when you all climb into bed, the bugs are gonna be like in your ears.
right. But I would say the number one thing that people always ask for, of course, is like, can I have a list? What do I bring? And
Right.
there's a lot of stuff out there, but you found a really, really great list on this website called lovetheoutdoors.com. You can go and you can find it. We'll link it down in the description below, actually.
Yeah.
And they have a really good list. Again, this isn't a list I would say that if you're going on some expert camping expedition, like, hopefully they'll provide you with a list of all the things that you need. But if you're going to a campsite, or even maybe perhaps a campsite that doesn't have as many amenities, this is a great list. And
Right.
some of it again is about using your discretion of you might not need all these things.
Right. Yeah, like over time, like, I mean, I have a lot of all of these, I would say, like, I don't want to say all of these things, but I have a lot of these things in my packs that I pack everything in. Just, extra first aid kit, extra, we have an axe, we have a hammer. I don't think we have a dustpan or brush because I'm really bougie and I wanted to get a dust buster. Do you know those
Oh, you
things?
have
They
that
like
mini little dust buster.
but we do have an air mattress. We do, everybody's got an air mattress. Where we're going is really bougie, right? Because they have electric. So even though we
Right.
have to
Use
walk
your
across the
thumb.
field with our air mattresses. So this is where we're going, is like glamping
Right.
101 with
You can
me.
charge your phone, you don't have to worry about bringing, like, a solar phone charger, you go leave your phone plugged in over there
Right.
where the plug is and
Right. There's
stuff.
a lot of things you can leave at home. Now, if we're talking about, let's talk about our personal camping experience this weekend, because it's we're talking rain and isolated thunderstorms, scattered showers, all of this. So I know that some people might see that forecast and might not want to go, right? Bela and I, my daughter and I, and I'll share this, we were homeless for an extended period of time and we camped because that was the best thing we could do at the time, because there was no housing for us that opened up, that had to open up until like in the area for her school. So when we camped out, not only did we learn tons of skills, but it also wasn't a traumatizing experience for us. We made it fun. We made it like an excursion, a vacation. And I will share that we were at a campground. There were not many people during the week at the times that we were camping until summer hit. And there was a Boy Scout troop that came and showed up, and there was a bunch of dads with their sons, and me and Bela were there. We're like, oh, hey, there's people, let's hang out. They all got on the rafts to go down the river. They never tied down their tents. They never set up their camps well. And when they came back, a huge storm had come in, thunder, lightning, the whole thing. And Bela and I had, gotten all our stuff in order, but their tents had flown out onto the river. These were Boy Scouts. They're scoutmasters. So I always told my daughter, like, look how great we leveled up. All these Boy Scouts going camping didn't even know to tie down their tents. But to be prepared for that type of weather, because obviously we were living on the river, there was inclement weather and we were in our tents, we were in our space, we were good, we were dry, our stuff stayed dry. And there's a couple of things that you want to do and make sure, like, I'm bringing extra tarps this weekend. Not only do I have a regular blue tarp you can go into like Walmart or Home Depot or wherever, and you find tarps have different thickness. So I got us a heavy duty tarp as well. Danny's going to bring his extra pop-up. I have my extra pop-up. So we'll have extra shelters. We're definitely bringing an extra rain fly. We have a backup tent, like all
And
of
just
these
extra
things.
clothes, right? And you don't
Extra
right?
towels, extra
Multiple pairs
towels.
of clothes for every day, multiple socks and underwear, like 3 times as much that you might think you need. Because if you
Right,
get wet, there's nothing worse than being, like, wet and uncomfortable and damp by the river. You
right,
wanna be able to change into a nice, clean, dry pair of clothes and be able to go
right.
hunker down in your tent or under a shelter. So
Yep.
that's definite, definite, definite. This list doesn't include, like, the amount of things, so that's something that you have to take into
Yeah.
consideration when you're packing these things. Pack based on A, that you're going camping, and then B, take into consideration this is something that we didn't really have to deal with last year because the weather was great. We didn't have to worry about any rain or anything.
Right, right.
This year we
Like I'm packing extra long sleeve shirts, and I always do something. I always leave like a small bag of clothes and an extra towel in my car. I've had things happen and occur over the years where a little hole in the tent, you don't realize it, and rain drips in, or we get hit with a big storm. And I've had my basket of towels right under the drip, right, and didn't realize it. So it's nice where we're going because there's a lot of options, and there are amenities like I was saying. So the
And there's
camp
even a
etiquette.
Walmart that's not too far if you
Right. There's a
happen
Walmart that's not too
to
far. There's a general store that I absolutely love. And there's even a laundromat right there. So like if we have to dry towels, we're very fortunate where we
we
are.
could.
So I'm not, I'm excited, even though I know a lot of people might not like the rain. I'm excited because I know we needed the rain. But I'm going to be prepared for the rain, and that's not to say that everyone else I'm
Right.
camping with is going to be prepared for the rain, and that's where the camping etiquette comes in, because
You have
da
to
da
be
da 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 da
prepared.
da.
You
You
have
have
to
to
be
be prepared.
prepared, or you're
You have to be
going to
prepared.
be imposing upon other people.
Right.
And
Right.
it's not fair, it's
Right.
not right. And so I think a really important column to look at is the cooking stuff. I think that
Yeah.
is another thing that people don't fully think through is you need all of these different little utensils to cook with. You need a cooler, of course, to keep things cool. You need to have some ice, even perhaps. But you need to have plates, bowls, forks, knives, things to eat with, and then you need to clean those. So
Yeah.
you have to have all the little things as well. I would definitely say that that's a place where I'm guilty in the past is some of those little things. And thankfully, I have a really great friend, Elizabeth,
Right.
who
Look,
so
I'm like, right. I'm
so
like, right.
gracefully allows, us to but
Well,
it goes
because
far.
it's okay when it's like me, like we did
Me
our
and
like
you,
camp
right,
out, and it was just me and you. But when it becomes in a larger group, which what we're gonna have this weekend and what we had last year, like Bayla reminded me when we were shopping today, we did pick up paper plates, which I usually don't do, but we can burn them, we can throw them in the fire, so we're not making more garbage, right? But just to have extra plates. But yeah, you should always bring your own silverware and have your own silverware set, and a package of paper plates just to have. And I'm meal prepping, I do this anyway, but like that's another really good camp etiquette. I make enough for my family, a little extra to share if somebody wants to try something. But we have, as my family, we have all our meals planned, which last year we had a lot more people, we did meals together. We set that up. But and as you saw, I meal planned for that too. When we cooked for
right.
everybody, we had a plan of what we were doing
And you
and
have
that makes it
everything pre-seasoned and in the
right.
packet, so you can just pull out the packet. And
So much
we
easier,
did
so
do
much
some
easier.
chopping of vegetables, and we had the kids go to work on that. That was really fun. We had the kids make breakfast for us.
Yeah.
So it definitely, the community feel is really awesome. But something that I think Elizabeth does really well is before we get into anything, just always setting the expectations, especially when you have kids around, but quite frankly, even adults around, especially men, you know. Um, um, is you need to set those expectations so the kids know, okay, like I'm allowed to be in this space. I'm not allowed to be in this space. The stove is hot. The fire is hot, right? I can go this far away from the campsite at this time. And when it gets darker, I can't. And just being very clear and very consistent with those expectations around every activity, I think is important because you can have
Yeah.
so much fun. But as you saw in that blooper video, when you have all these free times and free spaces, things can also like go awry pretty quickly.
Right. Well, I think also like I'm bringing my dogs too, and we know that Merlin doesn't like when the kids run through camp. Merlin gets he's like, there's no running in camp. That's distracting as my dog. I'm a dog. I'm doing my job. And I always find it interesting. That's another camp etiquette that I prefer. I'm bringing my dogs, right? They will be very, very limited off leash time, only because it's 4th of July. There's a lot of noise. That's one of my biggest pet peeves is when people let their dogs just roam around the camp, which my dogs don't like that. They'll stay right in our perimeter where we are. But because of other people, I have to keep my dog tied up, right? And that's important too, part of camping etiquette, because we're going to be with other people. So you want to be mindful of your neighbors. And I just feel like sometimes there's a little bit of lacking of mindfulness because we're outside. So people think like, oh, you can just it's a
Do
free for all because
whatever.
we're out, right, but it's still being mindful of
Right.
our and coexisting with nature, and having that partnership where we're still respecting the land that we're using and that we're on. So I try to tread lightly on our earth that way.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm just remembering now is water. I think that that's something I always forget. Like you have to bring again, there you could go out if you have to, and they have water spigots at this, but I don't know if it's drinking water.
Oh, I
You
don't know that
have to
those are
drink that water.
potable water.
Yeah,
However, okay, so where we're going, there is a water source that I thought we could probably take a day trip if you brought your water containers, or you use them, you want to fill them up before
right,
you go home. We have a water source there that I can show you on. It's a spring that comes
right.
out.
But I
Um,
usually just pick up a few big water jugs,
right,
right? Like the
right.
5-gallon water jugs so that you just have it if you need it. And I mean, there's nothing worse than being thirsty and not having it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my other little upgrade with we had running water at our campsite with my
Oh,
little upgrade.
yes.
Yeah, so that was like a
He has this,
bonus
like,
for
pump,
washing.
right? You can,
Yeah.
like, put it into the water jug and press the button, and it will pump the water out for you. This is pretty fancy. That was pretty
So
fancy.
high tech, but it was so worth it because we were really getting our hands dirty and touching like vile parts of, carrion
Cannabis.
and all of that roadkill. So having water to be able to running water to be able to wash your hands, and I mean, I could even see myself like laying under there to wash my hair if I had to, if that was necessary.
Well,
So
you have
I
that
definitely,
cool hanging shower too, which I really like.
yeah.
I think that's a
Mhm.
pretty cool thing. Again, even if you're at a place that has showers, it's just nice to have that hanging thing and be able to hop under there real quick without having to walk all the way across to wherever the shower is. I'm trying to think if there's any other small things. We've mentioned it a few times, but certainly it's worth another mention is a first aid kit, right? Just
Yeah,
from everything, people walking around without shoes on, you get cuts or little scrapes from falling down to
yeah,
my
yeah.
son had a thing where he fell into the fire and it was really my fault the way that it happened because it was like late and we were both kind of like dozing off and we got up and I thought he was awake. I thought he was awake because he was fully
Yeah.
standing up and, like, we had a little conversation, but apparently he wasn't fully awake and he, like, fell back down into the fire and
Yeah.
got a little burn on his finger, but we had first aid stuff right there and took care of it right away.
Tallow. We
And it
had tallow.
tallow. Go check out Elizabeth's. Hollow, Queen
That's
Bee,
really
hard
what
to
we used.
see.
We used tallow on his burn and he was fine. He was like fine after that. We should let him tell the story. That was probably really scary, but yeah, that's something, and that wasn't even like, you know, like parents were partying, not paying attention. That was literally like you guys were dozing around the fire and it was just
Right,
accidents
yeah,
happen, which
it's
is
just
why I'm such a stickler about safety, especially with the kids, because even like the accidents that happen, like those are just like innocent. Nobody was
of
forcing
course,
around and it
right.
happened. So imagine what can happen when people
Elizabeth,
are like messing
Darth
around.
Darth wants to know about your dogs.
Oh God, I have 3 dogs. I'm only bringing 2 dogs. They are, I guess most people would consider my dogs to be medium-sized to large dogs. They're cattle dogs, so border collie blue heeler mixes. It's a father and son. But they've been camping their whole lives, so they know the drill, and they both love the river. So I felt bad leaving them home and missing out on the river. Um, but yeah, and I have another dog too, but she's not coming. She's going to her grandma's house for the weekend to hang there because 3 dogs is just like way too
Too
much.
much,
It's like
huh?
that's just insane. Only insane people have 3 dogs.
Oh, and that's the other part I almost forgot to talk about was the river. I mean, obviously not every campsite has a river or a water source, but it's always awesome when they do. We stayed at the other one that had that the water hole where you could jump off the big
Oh, at
cliff
the hoot.
at the
At the
Hoot.
hoot.
Yeah, that's a fun one. But this one is along the Delaware River. So
Yeah.
you can go walk up we stay at a place that's, like, right in between the entrance and the exit, so you walk up a little way to the entrance. We brought all of our rafts, and we tied them all together. We bought our drinks and, had a whole setup going, and then we floated on down the river, and then
Yeah.
we did it all over again. Of course, the kids wanna
Yeah,
do it
so
over and over again.
I don't wanna take away from, like, how the river and the campsites make their money and make their business, but we're there, we're camping, we're paying to be there, but I obviously encourage people, you can buy the raft packages at the campsite, and they'll haul you up the river for, like, 3 miles, and it's, like, $60 or $40 a person or something like that, right? $40 per
I don't know
person.
exactly how much it was.
And we just decided to bring our own rafts. We bring our own floats. We have our own life jackets, and we just walk up to the entrance. And it's probably like not even a mile. Maybe it's
Oh,
like,
it was, like,
it's
less, way
like half
less,
a
half a mile.
mile. But it's really perfect for like younger kids. It's really perfect to just be lazy. Some days the river's going fast. You get a couple runs in. um, I got a boat. It's such a cheap little boat. I have it at Aldi's. I love Aldi's. Aldi's has great camping, glamping stuff, by the way. On those shelves, you can always find things, but it has paddles, it has
Oars,
oars, and
nice.
it probably would
We can
just
put a
fit me in
little,
it.
like, cooler setup, though, that's what I'm thinking, that's, like, kind of what we were missing was, like, the ability to, like,
I
have,
think I
like, the
have a
drinks and
float
stuff.
cooler. I think I have all my floats have drink holders in them,
I
if I
know, but
remember
it's nice to,
correctly.
like, have, like, not just, like, your drink, like, like, have a little extra, like, maybe have some
Want to
snacks,
have a pic
you
you want to
know?
have a picnic on a half mile
Yeah,
river
like, we need to
float.
upgrade our riverboat experience, man.
So
Um,
funny. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a great time, and I also feel like it's if you invest a little bit of money into camping, it can be a really amazing experience that you can, save your stuff. You don't have to like you're not throwing your tent and your sleep and your stuff away.
right.
You save it and you can use this again and again. And I really think kids enjoy camping, but I think adults enjoy it too. Like I do like just sitting and doing
Right.
nothing.
Well, I like the whole setup because it's very conducive to families
Right.
where you don't have to be having activity after activity after activity for the kids set up. Now, I'm not saying don't have anything for them at all, right? We have some tie-dye stuff we do. We tell them, we'll bring them onto the river a few times.
Right.
We play ball with them or something, but there's so much space that they can run around and they can sort of be right there within, sight distance, or we have
Right.
the teenagers, the preteens that can perhaps go off a little bit further and stuff. But it's very conducive to where everybody can just sort of be in their own space, doing their thing, relaxing, without having to drive from here, drive to there, plan this, do that. And again,
It's like wholesome. It's wholesome
it's wholesome,
activities.
and there's just something, I swear to God, like being indoors all day in these air-conditioned spaces with all this plastic, it interrupts your connection with the world, and there's something so beautiful and spiritual just about waking up. Yeah, I hear the birds chirp out my window, but there's a difference when you're, like, in the tent and, like, the dew is,
Making
flirting up
everything soggy.
outside and, like, the person next to you is chatting with their child at 5 a.m. in the morning about having
That's you.
yeah,
That
that's
is
me and my
you.
son.
That is you and Caleb. Guys, camping etiquette 101. Do not speak. There's no walls. There's no walls at 5:30 a.m. What are you people
You think that
doing?
Caleb cares?
No, Caleb does not care. And this is we've had multiple, we've supposed to have multiple adult sleepovers, but Caleb is there and we love Caleb. It's nothing against Caleb at all, but he's a very inquisitive, curious young
Even at
boy.
5 a.m. in the
Even
morning.
at 5 a.m. he's got a million questions, and the way he calls Stephanie, and like, because I'm a
"Mama,
mom,
mama."
mama, ma, and I'm like, oh my god, child, it's 5:30, and I have a teenager now, so she's all like sleeping. I don't gotta worry about a thing with her. She's got no questions. She's like, don't even speak to me, mom, until like 1, right? So camping etiquette, bring something for your child to do if they're an early riser so they don't wake up the whole camp. Just saying.
I mean, listen, you've gotta pee, you gotta pee. That is kind of like I always have to pee like that early hour in the morning. So maybe TMI for all you people out there, but like that's kind of like when you wake up and you're like, oh, I gotta go outside and pee. Or like in the middle of the night sometimes even. That's kind of like
That's why I bring my own potty, because who
yes, make
wants
sure
to
you have
walk all the
lights.
way?
Lights, that's another thing. I have lights right here. Let me show them off.
I have candles, we have lights, we even have a new lantern that looks like a flaming torch thing. It's very cool.
I have a bunch of my stuff right here. So
Yay. We're going camping.
I have oh,
Ooh,
here's a first aid kit, of course.
nice.
I've got this is the good one. I didn't even open it last time, but this is like a spot.
Oh yeah, I remember. I feel like you didn't. And you got
Yep.
those lantern things
Yeah, like
too.
I got like these like this kit of like all these different size
Yes.
lanterns. This was Walmart. Like Walmart has good stuff. Like that Ozark stuff isn't bad. So like all different sizes. And I got this folding saw, so watch out.
Oh, what are you doing with that?
I don't know. You know. I
I
just
really want to bring my mini chainsaw, but I'm like, what am I going to be chainsawing? But then I'm like, oh, maybe I can go chop us
we
some
can go get some
firewood.
wood. Exactly. Firewood's another thing, guys. Like you have to think about firewood.
I got a spot.
Yeah, and I have my utensils
Oh,
here.
look at you. I feel like you had that and you just never opened
And
it
I
back.
didn't use them last time, yeah. And I have this little box that's like an airtight, watertight box, so that's always a good thing to have.
Oh, this is another thing. Don't bring your phone or anything on the river, even if you think you have one of those like,
The airtight cases.
yeah, don't bring your stuff on the river. I've learned this multiple times the hard way. Like, I've showed up at my husband's house before he was my husband, like crying after going on like a 5-hour escapade with my
But how do
girlfriends
you
on
get
the river.
pictures for Instagram then?
Just have to like hold it in your mind, and you
I
remember
I
remember
may
Danny came after us with the phone watching
I
us
mean,
down the river for a
I
little
did
bit?
have mine on the river. If you saw some of
Oh,
those pictures from our Instagram, I had mine. I made
okay.
I
Well,
made it happen.
you're daring. I have lost so many things. So I have a friend that has a scuba gear and snorkel stuff, and he goes down in the river and collects all of the things that people lose. Like he finds like Ray-Bans, cameras,
Nice.
GoPros, like all sorts of stuff because people lose everything. They lose their rings, they lose their
Here it
jewelry. Don't That's my recommendation. And my other recommendation,
and this was when
obviously,
we were floating down the river.
oh, I guess we were. You had your
Yeah,
phone
I had
there.
my phone.
Oh, yeah, that's weird because how was Danny taking video if he was in the
I
river?
know, I took that one of him, that was my son, like, glomming onto him.
And there's Regina. She's not coming this
I
time, so that's
know,
very
poor
sad.
cat.
We love her. We wish she
This
was
is our
coming.
pretty sweet kitchen setup here, you can see, and then, like, that's an
When she
extra.
says we, it's really me, by the way, guys.
Oh, yeah, that's Elizabeth's really sweet kitchen setup, I mean, right there, you can see.
Great.
And then behind, there's, like, an
Camping
extra
etiquette.
shelter piece as well.
I'm not bringing that shelter piece because if it rains, it's just gonna be a big soggy, like
Oh,
netty mess. But we're not bringing that this time. But that was cool because last time the kids tie-dyed in that and they kind of made it all tie-dyed and I was really okay with it.
yeah, and then there's, like, the tent, but I'm upgrading. Elizabeth is upgrading me, I'm getting her old tent this time, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
And
I'm still not like a
and you can
hundred
see those
percent
are the bathrooms
satisfied.
right there, so they're not super
Oh
far.
yeah, they're not far at all. And I feel like we camped the same time last year, I feel like, but for some reason there's a lot less people. I feel like there's gonna be a lot more people because we're camping like on the 4th of July weekend.
Right, yeah, last year, it was the next weekend after 4th of
Okay.
July that we went.
Still kind of empty. It's kind of
Yeah,
empty.
no, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of people, remember there was, like, that men's group that was down there. Oh, yeah, and Elizabeth is an amazing hula hooper, and she brings her hula hoops everywhere, so,
We're
you
gonna bring I think me and Tim are gonna bring our fire spinning stuff and do some fire
ooh,
spinning because I have some
nice.
new props that I still haven't even lit up yet, like ever. So I think it's like time. It's time to play. But
Yeah, that would be
it's
dope.
almost my bedtime.
Yeah, it's
So
getting late, I
couple
think
of
we did good, though.
yeah, I think the number one thing is really important, is the chair thing as the etiquette because I've had several people bring this up and this is so important. So I don't have a fancy chair, but I'm about to get one. And I have a chair that's kind of like it like lays back a little
I
bit.
mean, this is the
Um
chair right here, you see the chair? That's pretty she has
oh,
and it has, like, a
oh,
little it had, like, a
it's a
little
Walmart
stool.
chair. It's like $20. It's not even that
Yeah,
great,
but it, like,
okay?
leans back a little bit,
And
and
it's
it
got
has,
a
like, a
little
you can't see
pillow
it, it has,
and
like,
it's
a
got
little stool that goes with it. It's a pretty
yeah,
sweet chair, um,
great.
you know,
So,
so
but like when you have a chair like that, you don't want to share it with other people. And because it's such a nice chair, like everyone, she knows how to describe it. She knows all about it. People like sitting in the chair, which is fine. But when I come over, I want to sit in my chair, and it's like awkward because you don't want to be like, "Hey, could you get up, get out of my chair?" Right? You don't want to do that, or
you're not
be
gonna be
like,
like,
"Hey,
"No,
so I
bitch,
have
get out
this."
of my chair."
Yeah, like that's what I'm gonna have to do now. I'm gonna have to walk around with my knife and be like,
Here, where's the saw that I have? Can you use my saw?
"Just
That's
gonna
what
be
I got
unfolding
this
her
for,
saw."
see? That's what I got this for. If you are in Elizabeth's chair no, I'm just kidding, totally kidding. Please.
No, but I think that it's important. I think the rule is if you didn't bring it and you're using it and you don't have permission, common sense would tell you that's, and if you're in someone else's space, very little space you get to share when you're camping with others, just be mindful of those people's space. That's really it.
I
Those are
agree.
my camp. I think it's just common sense. Common
And
sense.
so perhaps you missed this camping trip. We are going to go camping 2 other times. We're going to go to Myco Fest and to the Hoot. You know, we're out here in the Northeast. And we're going to be doing another annual trip again next year. So make sure that
Yeah.
you're tapping into all of that. You can go over to teachingliberty.org for more information. You can follow us, of course, on social media. I have those in the description down below. And definitely head over to queenbeespharmacy.com. Check out what Elizabeth has over there. Of course, she has her famous honey, right? She is the queen bee, of course. But a bunch of other great stuff over there. We talked about the tallow. The tallow is my favorite stuff. You're of course going to bring me a re-up, right? I need a little re-up this weekend. So go check that out, and you can use my code Teaching Liberty to save 15% off your entire order. I'm so proudly holding up that as a place that I tell people to go and buy from, because it's the only place that I really feel confident to promote. People all the time want me to promote things and say this or that, but queenbeespharmacy.com, go over
Well,
there.
I have to like say though, like before we went live, I was like, wow, your skin looks so good. Like I was like, right? I was going like, wow, look at your skin. And then I'm like, oh my God, it's the tallow.
I mean, no, I do live and die by that stuff, because it's got this weird quality where it's thick
Weird
enough.
quality.
No, like, because it's a really hard to come by in the facial cream area, where it's thick enough that it lasts all day, but it's
Right.
not so thick that I feel it's like it's not heavy, and it's not
Right.
like so
It's not
and
like cakey. It's not like,
exactly, it's not
yeah.
cakey, and my skin is this weird thing between being dry, but then also if I eat gluten or something else that I break out, right?
Yeah.
So like that's the way that my skin reacts. So it's definitely something that helps me keep my skin in order, especially like when I have breakouts, I can still do decently. So for sure, go check out the tallow, highly recommended at queenbeespharmacy.com, and go camping. If not with us, just get outdoors,
Yeah.
right? We live in a technology filled world, so stay connected to the
Oh,
outdoors.
look, he just literally said, oh, were you reading? I'm very
Yes, yes,
confused
that's
here.
what I said. I pulled up
I
the
was like,
clip.
oh my God, he said the same thing you're
Yes,
saying.
yes, 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 I
I
was
gotta go to bed. I gotta go to
all
bed.
right, guys, appreciate you. Make sure you've liked this video. Make sure you've subscribed. Share this out with a friend who could use this information. And I don't know, stay beautiful, right? Keep thinking free. Keep living free.